We are going to talk about, firstly on the show, in Farmers Weekly's Pulpit. This is the opinion section where every man and her dog can write in around opinions. And Ruby Mulinder explains in this week's Farmers Weekly how it all started when she woke at 2 a.m. thinking, have farmers on our most remote islands had the opportunity to benefit from one of our most effective extension programs? This is the Red Meat Profit Partnership Action Network. And as a facilitator for over a year and a half based in South Waikato, Ruby began to think about her family's farming contacts in the Chatham Islands, how she could extend the ability to come together in a community to deal with change and deal with challenges. And Ruby joins us now. I'm really excited to talk about this, Ruby. Firstly, can you just give us a little bit of background that led into taking your knowledge remotely over to the Chathams?
Yeah, hi Sarah. Great to speak with you this afternoon. Yeah, so I actually work in the South Waikato as a farm life consultant, and during that journey I've come across the Red Meat Profit Partnership extension program, and with that came some opportunities to facilitate groups in different locations around New Zealand. So I facilitated one in the South Waikato, one down in Canterbury, and then, ultimately one day sort of thought, I wonder if the Chathams had the opportunity to look at this funding network. And lucky enough, my mother had actually nursed on the Chathams for a time frame when we were little children, and we were fortunate enough to have a contact. So I randomly picked up the phone one day and gave them a call. And from there it was history. We managed to get it over the line and get a few good productive visits under our belt.
I love the line in this Pulpit opinion piece that you can read in this week's Farmers Weekly. It is an island of character, and you're bound to feel as withered as one of the wind-swept trees. I mean, they are hard as nails as people, but how open were they to what you had to say and bring to the discussion?
Yeah, fairly interesting actually. So as a group of farmers, we managed to pull together 9 farming businesses to be involved in the network group. I think to start with, they really appreciate you taking the time to gain the true context of what the challenges are on the island. We're not dealing with, mainstream New Zealand farming. We can't just pick up the phone and ring a truck driver to collect stock when we get dry. We can't have someone in coming and doing bailage at the drop of a hat. So there are a lot of challenges there around how they just operate day to day. So as a group, I think once you understand what the challenges are, from that point on, it's actually been really positive, and there's just such a great group of fairly positive farmers over there.
And one of them is low pH levels, as low as 4.4, you say, because of the clay and peat soil. So how did you take a challenge like that and find an opportunity?
Yeah, so that was a little bit, those sort of outcomes came in our first meeting, when we were trying to get a bit of a scope of what we would like to focus on as a group and what the group wanted to sort of challenge as we sort of progressed. So that came out when I got them to bring along some soil tests. I was quite keen just to get an idea of what we were looking at. So that challenge in its right is possibly easily fixed, though it's still expensive and it's timely. Getting the amount of lime onto that country takes time and money. So there is an opportunity there. There are lime deposits on the island. So within reason, we can address that issue. We just need to work more collaboratively as a group to make sure we can effectively get the lime crushed first and foremost. It's in quite a coarse form at the moment, which would take many, many years to break down. So there was a solution there, but identifying what the root cause of the issues was a fairly important part to do in those early discussions with the group.
And freight costs and freight costs for product and livestock, my apologies, is a huge proportion of the annual working expenses for farming on the Chathams. What has been in place in terms of collaborating around bulk buying of product in and the livestock shipments out, and where is a system to be improved on that?
Yeah, so it does make up an enormous part of the annual budget, and probably it's important to say, it's not only stock going off the island to be sold, in a lot of cases it's sold as store stock that means to go to the sale yard. Along with the shipping cost is also the cost of an agent fee, the cost of grazing for sort of up to a week once they get to New Zealand before they then go into the sale yard. So there's this whole barrage of costs that are built into selling one unit, so say it be one store land. And at the same time, that's the same with wool. Wool also has a extensive cost because it's fairly bulky in a bale form on the boat. So historically, there's a fair bit of collaboration in terms of sending livestock off the island. As boats have to be organised to make sure they are full enough to capacity to make sure that is efficient and effective for them to transport those stock. In terms of bulk buying into the island, it probably hasn't been looked at close enough, and I think that's a huge opportunity the group had identified in the first and second group on the island. And I think we're just trying to work with the company at the moment to look at how can we provide a platform for them so they can make that process quite simple in terms of selecting what products they need. A classic example is they're all coming up to docking and fly strike management. So everyone needs quite a quantity of products for first drench and fly strike treatment. So those types of aspects of it are the easy wins where we can see is can we collaborate how much product we need and then can we get that at a reduced price, because there's very little margin we can make on reducing the freight costs onto the island.
And I really enjoyed reading about the historical vegetation maps that exist and the deep understanding of biodiversity in native woodlots already. I mean, it's harsh and exposed to the elements on the Chatham Islands. So how have you been able to harness what's already there and guide in direction to see the ETS as an opportunity?
Yeah, so I think I left the island after the first trip and scratched my head thinking, how can we make something out of nothing? Because there's always lots of opportunities that require quite a large capital spend. So the one thing I thought, we possibly have this opportunity that there's already some regenerating native that previously was cleared. There's already pockets of native vegetation that are quite mature, and there is also some pine and macrocarpet areas on a number of farms. So I went away, scratched my head for a while, and then thought, why don't we look at the ETS as an opportunity for farms that have existing woodlots, and then why don't we make sure that they're well aware of what they can do going forward if they want to plant out areas. And a lot of the coastal farms and a lot of the coastline there, they are exceptionally exposed to the elements. So a big part of my job, I have quite a high standard of welfare, so it was playing in how can we use trees, ETS, to actually have a benefit on the farming operation as well as an alternative income stream. So a number of those farmers actually had an opportunity to explore that ETS, and we engaged a company to help map the properties first and foremost, and then do the follow-on process of trying to get them set up in the ETS.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Ruby. Absolutely incredible work that you've done there by taking a concept, as you said, that was keeping you awake at night and following through on it to be the change that you wanted to see. And I'm sure the farmers on the Chatham Islands will be extremely grateful that you haven't come with the problem, you've come with the ability to work together for the solution. And that's absolutely incredible to see. So, on behalf of the audience at Sarah's Country, congratulations. Well done. What's the next step?
So we've still got a few visits, trying to squeeze them in before March, and the funding network then effectively stops. I think we are quite keen to keep something going, even if it is at sort of like a twice a year type visit arrangement. But we've got another couple of visits booked in. One of the next ones is going to be just looking around performance of pastures and what we can actually do in terms of any new pastures, pools or cropping options. They struggle with summer dries, as we all do. So, yeah, I think there's still a little bit of work to do there. We definitely still need to keep some traction rolling with the lining options and also the bulk buying. So a lot of it, each group that rolls into the next group, and we try and keep things moving from there.
I think there'll be a lot of people that will be listening that might want to reach out that where they could help from New Zealand. Ruby, is there a way that there is people can get in touch with you to bring the expertise and support?
Yeah, I'm more than happy for you to share my email address if that works. I guess the one thing probably to put out there is they actually struggle for employment around employing people to come and help over those key times of the year, especially shearing. There are still a large number of ewes on the island, so they do struggle every year to get good, competent shearers that want to go there and do a bit of work and get stuck in. So I think if there are people out there that have got skills in the shearing space or general fencing, there are definitely opportunities on the island, and you could definitely work in with a number of farming businesses to fill up your week and your month pretty quickly.
If putting my hand up to be a rousey is the way that I can get to the Chatham Islands, Ruby, I'll be in a heartbeat. Thank you so much, Ruby Mulinder there, who has taken the Red Meat Profit Partnership Action Network over to the Chatham Islands.
This is Sarah's Country.